All right, let's talk about something that's way bigger than most people think. Data privacy. You hear that phrase and maybe your mind jumps straight to the IT department, right? But here's the thing, it's not just their problem. It's a huge business issue where one tiny slip-up can create a massive headache for absolutely everyone, from HR all the way to the CEO. So today, we're going to break down the most common mistakes people make and, more importantly, how you can steer clear of them.
And when I say headache, I'm talking about serious consequences. The stakes here are genuinely higher than ever before. That's why this isn't just some nice-to-know topic. It is absolutely urgent for anyone in a leadership role.
Let's put a price tag on this, shall we? $4.88 million. That's the average cost of just one data breach in 2024. And if that number doesn't grab you, get this. It's already jumped 10% from just last year. It's getting more expensive fast.
So where are these multi-million-dollar problems coming from? It's easy to picture some movie-style hacker in a dark room, right? But the reality, well, it's a lot less exciting. The World Economic Forum tells us that a jaw-dropping 95% of all cybersecurity incidents come down to one thing: simple human error. Yep, us. That's the real weak link we've got to talk about.
Okay, so if human error is the big bad wolf here, it makes sense to start right there, inside our own house. We're talking about the internal gaps, the problems with your strategy and with your people. And really, it boils down to two huge fundamental mistakes. First up, having no clear strategy, just kind of winging it and treating privacy like an afterthought. And number two, untrained employees, which, as we just saw, is basically leaving the front door wide open.
So, mistake number one, flying blind with no strategy. This puts you in a constant state of reaction, always playing catch-up. And the amount of data we create is just staggering, meaning vulnerabilities can pop up faster than you can possibly plug the holes. You end up just reacting to problems instead of getting ahead of them.
So what's the fix? Well, you have to build a proactive strategy. That means you've got to have clear rules for how data is collected, used, and stored. It means baking privacy into new projects right from the very beginning. They call this privacy by design. You also need someone to own this, right? A designated data protection officer, or DPO. Someone who lives and breathes this stuff. And look, this is crucial. You absolutely must have buy-in from the top. Leadership has to see this as a core business priority, not just another task to dump on the IT team.
And that brings us right back to our people. Mistake number two, untrained employees. And this isn't some abstract risk, you know? This is real life. Just this year, a staff member at a hospital made a simple, everyday mistake. They sent an email to the wrong address. The problem? That email had a spreadsheet with the private data of over 2,100 patients. One click, a tiny error with a truly massive impact.
The only way to fight this is to empower your people. You have to turn your team into your first line of defense. And that means regular, ongoing training, not just a once-a-year thing. It also means having crystal clear instructions, standard operating procedures, or SOPs for any task that involves sensitive data. No more guesswork. The end goal here is to build a culture of vigilance where every single person feels responsible for protecting data.
All right, so let's say you've got a solid strategy and your people are trained up. Awesome. Now we've got to shift our focus to the data itself. Let's dig into the common gaps and how we actually handle and protect these digital assets.
Okay, get ready for the next two big ones. Mistake number three is something we're all a little guilty of: data hoarding. Collecting and keeping tons of data just in case you might need it someday. And then there's mistake number four, just plain weak security. This is about failing to put even the most basic locks on the doors. So how do you fight the urge to hoard data? There's a brilliant principle for this called data minimization. And it is so simple, but so powerful. The idea is only collect the data you absolutely need for a specific reason, and only hold onto it for as long as you have to. I mean, the logic is perfect, right? You can't leak what you don't have.
And here's the game plan to make that happen. Step one, assess. You got to know what data you have and why you have it. Step two, minimize. From this point on, only collect what is strictly necessary. Step three, schedule. Set up regular data cleanups, like a digital spring cleaning, to get rid of anything old or useless. And finally, step four, dispose. When data is past its legal expiration date, get rid of it securely. The whole idea is to be intentional, not a digital pack rat.
Now, about that weak security thing, this next stat is actually kind of shocking. Almost a third of HR professionals, I'm talking about the people who handle our most sensitive personal employee data, they admit their own companies don't have strong enough security to protect it.
I mean, wow, if the HR files aren't locked down tight, it really makes you wonder about the customer data, doesn't it?
Okay, so how do you build a fortress around your data? It comes down to a few non-negotiable security controls. First, you lock things down. Restrict access on a strict need-to-know basis. Nobody gets a key unless they absolutely need it. Second, use encryption. This basically scrambles the data, making it completely unreadable to thieves. And third, you have to mandate multi-factor authentication, MFA. You know, that extra code you get on your phone? It is one of the single most effective defenses you can have. These basics aren't optional, they're essential.
But here's the thing. You can build the most secure fortress in the world, but your defenses are only as strong as your weakest link. And a lot of the time, that weak link isn't even inside your company, it's external. So let's talk about the threats that come from your partners and, of course, the law.
So let me just ask you this straight up. Do you really know what your vendors are doing with your data, every single one of them? Because the moment you hand over your data, their security, or lack of it, becomes your problem. It's your reputation on the line.
And if you think this is a minor risk, just think back to that massive data breach at Target. Everybody remembers that one. The hackers didn't smash through Target's super secure front door, no way. They just slipped in through a digital side door, one that was left wide open by their HVAC vendor. That's right, their heating and air conditioning company. A totally unrelated partner became the Achilles heel that brought them down.
So how do you stop that from happening to you? You have to get serious about managing your vendor risk. That means you vet every single third party like your business depends on it, because it does. You lock them into strong legal contracts, data processing agreements or DPAs, that make them responsible for protecting your data. You only give them the absolute bare minimum data they need to do their job. And you keep a list. You need to know every single partner that touches your data.
Okay, the last big mistake we're going to cover is a giant one, just plain ignoring the law. Look, regulations like GDPR over in Europe or the CCPA in California, these aren't friendly suggestions. They have real teeth. If you don't comply, you could be looking at crippling fines. We're talking up to 4% of your company's total global revenue. And let me be clear, saying I didn't know is not a defense that's going to work.
Whew! So we've walked through a whole minefield of mistakes, right? But the real answer here isn't just playing whack-a-mole and fixing these individual problems. The ultimate solution is bigger. It's about building something into the very DNA of your company, a true privacy-first culture.
And what does that look like? It all boils down to a massive mindset shift. Are you in the reactive camp, where privacy is just an IT problem and you only fix things after they break? Or are you building a privacy-first culture, where privacy is truly everyone's job? Where it's not just a compliance checkbox you have to tick, but a core business value that actually helps you earn customer trust and gives you a real competitive edge.
And really, that's the question I want to leave you with today. I want you to take a good, hard look at your own organization and ask yourself, is our data privacy just a checkbox we tick to stay out of trouble, or is it our competitive advantage? Are we using it to build a stronger, more trustworthy business that people actually want to work with?